Great. Thank you so much. And thank you especially to Veronica and Tony for organizing these events. I really enjoyed participating on June 13th, and I'm excited to present again today. Before I get started, I'd like to introduce NVI's new president, Nancy Berglass. And I believe that Nancy's on the line just to say hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Hi, everyone. Would you like me to say a quick word, Deirdre?
Just a quick word, yes.
Sure, thanks. It is my great honor and thrill to be involved with National Veterans Intermediary. Those of you who know me know I've been working in the veteran space for many, many years. First, as the director of the Iraq-Afghanistan Deployment Impact Fund, which was and remains the largest private funding effort in the United States in the veteran space. We gave $273 million in grants to sort of kickstart what all of us commonly share now as the modern veterans nonprofit landscape. Moved into founding the Military Veterans and Society program at Center for New American Security, where I worked with many of the people on the call today, and from which I published a number of papers that looked at everything from defining veteran wellness to establishing the very discussion about how we categorize, define, measure, and advance the idea of community-based solutions for topics and issues that veterans and military families face. So here I am at NVI about a week and a half into my new job. So I am going to humbly, I hope, sit back and listen and learn and allow Deirdre, who's been with NVI a lot longer than I have, to represent us. And I hope everyone on this call will feel free to reach out to me personally. My email is nancy.berglass, B-E-R-G-L-A-S-S, @nvi.org. To introduce yourself to me, I'm traveling a great deal, and so when I'm in your community, I would love to come and meet with you and learn more about what you're doing. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions, and I'm going to mute from here and let Deirdre do her thing.
Great. I just want to make sure, Veronica, my screen is visible. I think you might be on mute. I just want to make sure my screen is visible to everyone.
Hi, Deidre. Here in Cleveland, we can see a great screen and your mouse.
Okay, great.
Same here in Bloomington.
Thank you. Great. I'll get started then. I'm going to be talking to you today about how to think beyond traditional fundraising and how to identify resources you need and who might have them and who might be willing to share them with you. NVI exists to strengthen all communities with seeds of collaboration. Many of you have already taken advantage of our collaboration funding. It's great to see a lot of familiar names on the call, but we are more than just funding. We are working to connect communities with resources, whether those resources are in your own communities or available through our national partners. We're planning our programming for the next phase now, and we welcome your input. You can sign up for updates like the upcoming launch of our classes with PsychArmor on NVI.org. I'd like to start with a quote from the Stanford Sustainability Journal. I'm going to read it aloud for anyone who perhaps is on the phone and can't see the slide. Quote, collective impact efforts are most effective when they build from what already exists, honoring current efforts and engaging established organizations, rather than creating an entirely new solution from scratch.
Deirdre, I'm sorry to jump in here, but we don't see your slides. Are they up on your screen?
They are. I thought Cincinnati said they could see it.
We see a blank gray screen. you already do the share application?
I did.
And then share PDF.
I will.
Hey, Veronica, this is Andy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
If you have a copy of the slides, maybe you can share from there and just go through them while she talks to them. I don't know if that's possible.
Okay, I will try to do that. I'm having technical issues on my end as well, but give me a second.
So Deidre, if you have dual monitors, your presentation may be on a separate screen. That's why it's not showing up. Right now we see Excel. Or if you want, just click instead of sharing application, share desktop. There we go. Thank you.
We can see him now in Cleveland.
Okay, Deirdre, can you hear us? We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, she should be
Yes.
good.
Yes,
Yeah,
we can hear
thank
you. Thank you. You're ready to roll.
Great. You can see my screen.
Yes.
Great. So I'd like to talk about how this seminal collective impact concept, this quote, applies to resources, and specifically resources beyond financial grants and funding. Too many of us get stuck when it comes to fundraising because of substantial barriers to access. But if we reimagine that idea of contribution and engage stakeholders to contribute in new ways, we can build sustainability and increase our impact and establish a collaborative platform that will make our initiatives more attractive to funders in the future. I'm going to talk you through the traditional sources of funding and then lead you through options that may be available to you for no cost. I want to expand your concept of resources and show you how to access them. So let's start with an assessment of the current landscape. We've been at war for 17 years. Donors are more cautious. They want to see the data that measures the impact of their gift. And there's more competition for every gift. Many funders have a misunderstanding that CVEBs are government organizations, which may cause hurdles to funding. We know you're frustrated. We all wish there was more money to go around. And we want to make sure that that money is available and goes where it's needed most. So part of the challenge is to educate funders and stakeholders about your local military and veteran community needs. And NVI is doing this as well. We are advocating for investment in collaboratives and CVEBs. I've listed some traditional funding sources here. There are several categories of grantors, and each organization within these categories has its own requirements, timelines, and donation limits. The bottom line is this: it takes time and investment to seek funding, and the reporting burden can be significant also. And for all of these, you need to build in sustainability because the grants are for a limited period of time. Locally, you may also be competing with other social issues, but there's opportunity to advocate for yourself into multiple funding streams, since we all know veteran issues truly span the whole spectrum. So today, I'd like to take a look beyond these traditional funding sources to identify other resources and other stakeholders who may be able to contribute. Everyone in our ecosystem relies on resources to run, but they also have resources to share. These traditional grant-making funding organizations have more than just money to offer. Start by surveying your community. Do you have a balanced mix of nonprofits, businesses, and government agencies? You may not have all of these in your collaborative, but this is a chance to invite new stakeholders into your work. These include those shown here and others across the civic landscape, such as law enforcement, public health, public education, and transportation agencies. Let's take a look at examples of each type of stakeholders and look at them and how the things they have and how you might use them. Before I dive in, I'd like to clarify my definitions here. When I say infrastructure, I mean building the collaborative versus capacity building, meaning ensuring that you have the right mix of services when the population you serve needs them. For our purposes today, we're focusing on 3 types of nonprofits: philanthropic organizations, universities, and intermediaries like NVI. All of them have other assets beyond dollars that you can take advantage of: subject matter expertise, tools, maybe physical space, experts, and training programs. In addition to infrastructure and capacity, these are great partners for advocacy and knowledge building. Next, let's take a look at how businesses within your community can contribute. By businesses, I mean national corporations, consulting firms, law firms, and smaller companies. These could include local branches of companies like your local Wells Fargo, just as an example. We often think of businesses for cash donations and pro bono work, but they have so much more to offer. There is even a growing movement towards social impact investment. For example, in the real estate sector, some investors are providing social services to the communities inhabiting their buildings on the theory that a stable, healthy community increases the value of their properties over time. Imagine the opportunity for partnership. Now let's take a look at how you might be able to tap into resources through government agencies. We've seen 2 ways that local governments have provided funding outside of grants. One is to create tax levies to fund projects. This was successfully implemented in King County in Washington State. The other is to create actual budget line items to support the creation of a formal backbone organization. This is how the New York City Department of Veterans Services came into being, through the City Council's institutional support. Both local and federal governments also may be able to provide subject matter expertise, share service providers, and open channels for advocacy. Both have a voice that can create urgency and convening power. If you're not sure where to start, there are a number of resources out there I encourage you to take a look at that are free of charge. You can go online and download reports, data, and other resources to help you get a handle on the process, evaluation, and even organizing concepts. These include the Collective Impact Forum, the Military Family Institute at the Military Family Research Institute at Purdue University, the Institute for Veterans and Military Families, the Bush Institute, and of course, NVI.org. I encourage you to explore all of these resources frequently as their sites are updated. The Bob Woodruff Foundation is incubating the National Veterans Intermediary to harness, support, and amplify the efforts of all stakeholders to improve outcomes for veterans within and across all communities. The intermediary represents both public and private sector interests across all issue areas. We have invited communities in every state to collaborate, and I'm excited to share that 71 communities across 33 states have committed to further collaboration in their communities. NVI offers 4 capabilities to stimulate change in communities. These include ecosystem data, collaboration funding, learning and collaboration, and public-private collaboration. We are building to add value. We're fostering collective impact conditions within and across communities to improve national impact. Rather than compete or reinvent existing solutions, we aspire to catalyze change where it is needed and help fulfill those unmet needs. We always encourage collaboratives and CVEBs to establish a backbone organization because having that organizational structure in place supports all activities, and especially those related to procuring resources. The backbone becomes the de facto leader and manager of the process at every stage. Setting up a backbone will establish defined roles and responsibilities, even if they are initially on a volunteer basis. So whether you are the backbone organization in your community or you're hoping to be, it will pay off to collaborate on fundraising and resource aggregation. Identifying contributors is much easier when you have a sense of your objectives. You have a way to measure those outcomes. You have a schedule of activities planned. And you have a channel for ongoing communications. If you haven't yet established these norms within your community, you'll need them to identify possible contributors, to coordinate outreach, and also when collaborating with partners to successfully secure the contributions that you need. Again, the backbone organization can take responsibility for shepherding the members of a collaborative. Here's a summary of what we covered today and a few things I'd like you to keep in mind. Cash is just one type of resource you need to build a sustainable organization. service providers shouldn't be the only active members. Bring those other stakeholders in your community to be a part of every step. The more that you can show you're collaborating for impact, the easier it will be to attract funders and contributors. If you're already collaborating, you can deepen those commitments to build capacity. I'll finish with a plug for NVI because I'm passionate about our mission to support CVEBs like you. We have collaboration funding available immediately, but you'll be getting so much more. Data, articles written for you, learning opportunities, organized convenings, online and in person, where you can share knowledge. We're planning more hands-on programming for next year. It's a great time to join NVI. Please take advantage of NVI.org, which is built for you, and sign up for our email list where you'll get updates on more capabilities and tools as we roll them out. We'll publish this slide deck on our blog section so you can download and share it for reference. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions if we have the time. Veronica?
So, in looking at the chat box, no questions have come through. As a reminder for participants, if you have a question for any of today's presenters, definitely feel free to type it into the chat box and we'll take questions as we are able. If we're unable to get to your question for the sake of time, we will follow up with you at the conclusion of the event and ensure that you're connected with the appropriate person. So, Deirdre, thank you very much for your presentation.